Hello everybody. I'm sorry, I just put the mouse up. I don't know where to put it. It just logged into my computer. I put this inside this. Anyways, today we're going to read a book called The Fairy Berry Bake Off. It's the Disney fairies. The Fairy Berry Bake Off. All over Pixie Hollow, the Never Fairies were hard at work. Each fairy had a talent and a special job to do. The garden talent fairy Lily was in her garden, watering the seedlings. The art talent fairy Bess was in her studio, working on a new painting. The water talent fairy Silver Mist was collecting dewdrops. The light talent fairy Fira was training the fireflies to light Pixie Hollow at night. The animal talent fairy Beck was helping a lost baby chipmunk find his way home. And Tinkerbell, a pot and fans fairy, was in a workshop fixing a broken frying pan. Here's Tinkerbell, here's Fira, here's Silver Mist, and here's Bess. But no matter how busy they were, the fairies all stopped what they were doing at lunchtime. They headed into the tea room to eat. The tea room was one of the most popular places in Pixie Hollow. It was peaceful, it was pretty, and the best of all, the food was yummy. The fairies gathered there every day for all of their meals. I wonder what tasty treats the baking talent fairies will have for us today, said Lily. Maybe we'll have a whole roasted cherries with cinnamon glaze. Replied Bess. Yum! Exclaimed Tink. I'm so hungry I can eat a whole cherry by myself. The other fairies laughed. I know, I am laughing too. They couldn't wait to find out what was for lunch. Strawberry soup, nutmeg pie, blackberry cake, and roasted walnuts stuffed with figs. Every fairy had a favorite dish. There were so many wonderful treats, Tinkerbell couldn't decide what to try first. At that moment, something special caught her eye. She popped a tiny tart into her mouth. That's the best tart I ever had, she said. Oh my gosh, she just heard oh my gosh, it's so yummy. They're like stuffing. In the kitchen, Disley, a baking talent fairy, overheard Tink. Tinkerbell loves my tart, she exclaimed with a smile. Disley was always proud of her baking. He always tried to make the fluffiest rolls, the flakiest pies, and the creamiest frosting. She really loved to bake. But she also loved to watch the other fairies enjoy her tasty treats. The baking talent fairy Ginger was nearby. When she heard Disley, she frowned. I think that was one of my tarts, she told Disley. Oh, I don't think so, Disley said sweetly. Your tarts tend to be a little dry and hard. Ginger most certainly did not agree. She knew that her tarts were always moist and flaky. The next day, Disley baked blueberries with fresh whipped cream. The fairies ate every last one. Yum, said Tink. Are there any more? Disley blushed. She beamed. They love my baking, she said proudly. Disley wanted to be the best baking talent fairy in all of Pixie Hollow. Back in the kitchen, Disley peeked into the oven. She saw Ginger's gingerbread. Ginger kidnapped. Took her bread. She stole it. It's not hers, right? It looks a little flat, she said. You should follow my recipe, Ginger. My gingerbread is much fluffier. Ginger had enough of Dusely's back. My gingerbread is perfect, she said. No, it isn't. But don't feel bad, said Dusely. Some fairies just need more practice than others. He's like doing like this. I was like, she's like embarrassed. You see her? That's it. Ginger was fed up. Dusely, you don't know what to do with a berry if it fell on your pie crust, said Ginger. Ha, said Dusely. I could outbake you any day. Prove it, said Ginger. You're on, cried Dusely. The Fairy Berry Bake-Off began. Ginger and Dusely was going to prove once and for all who was the best baker. It was a battle neither fairy wanted to lose. That evening, Ginger made boysenberry custard served in a vanilla bean. Dusely made her magic blackberry turnovers. Wow, said Tink, they really do turn over. The next day, Ginger made her famous 5-berry crumble. The fairies cleaned their plates and licked every last crumb on their spoons. Dusely peeked into the tea room. She said, wait till they try mine. Dusely carried her right side up, upside down cake in the tea room and proudly placed it on the table. The fairies didn't even notice. They were too busy finishing Ginger's 5-berry crumble. Dusely couldn't believe it. Don't you like my cake? She asked the fairies. It looks wonderful, said Ting, but we're full. Dusely frowned. How about just a little taste? She pleaded. The fairies shook their heads. They patted their stomachs. We couldn't eat another bite, said Bess. Ginger grinned. It looks like she had won this round of Fairy Bake-Off. I didn't like I was on Ginger's side, but I'm just like. Dusely knew she needed to make something extra special for the next meal. So for lunch the following day, she outdid herself. There were puddings and pies, there were crumpets and cakes, there were piles of Tink's favorite cream puffs. The fairies ate and ate and ate and ate until they couldn't eat anymore. Dusely's feast was a hit. But the Berry Bake-Off was only getting started. The next day at breakfast, Dusely and Ginger waited in the tea room for the fairies to arrive. Try muffin, Dusely said to Tink. They're soft and sweet. How about a honey bun? Asked Ginger. They're even softer and sweeter. No, a muffin, said Dusely. A bun, cried Ginger. I'm not hungry, said Tink, flying away. Dusely and Ginger didn't even notice that Tink had left. They kept arguing. The fairies worked hard all morning. They looked forward to a nice, relaxing lunch. Dusely and Ginger met them as they entered the tea room. Dusely waved a spoon. Taste this, she called out. No, taste this, shouted Ginger. Mine's better. But none of the fairies stopped. The tea room no longer seemed very relaxing at all. Back in the kitchen, things were no better. Get me an egg, Dusely shouted to an egg-collecting fairy. I need more flour. Ginger snapped at a kitchen talent sparrow man. One by one, the other fairies left the kitchen. They didn't want to be around Dusely and Ginger. The Berry Bake-Off was getting out of control. Soon, Dusely and Ginger were alone in the kitchen. They didn't notice. They were both too busy. They sniffed and stirred. They mixed and measured. Each wanted the best desserts to be the best. The next dessert to be the best, of course. Ginger made fresh raspberry cupcake with vanilla cream filling. She used the finest raspberry that ever grew in Pixie Hollow. Lucy made her special 7-layer cake with 6 kinds of berries. Lucy reached for a berry to top off her cake. "That's my berry," Ginger exclaimed. "You can't have it." It's my berry," Lucy replied. "I'm sure of it." "It's mine," said Ginger. She grabbed the berry. "No, it's mine," said Lucy. She held on tight. Neither fairies wanted to give in. They pulled and pulled until Lucy stumbled backward right into her cake. Ginger stumbled backward too. Her cupcakes went flying everywhere. "Oops," said both fairies at once. One cupcake hit Lucy, another hit Ginger. Just then, Tink walked in to find what all the fuss was about. A fine cupcake landed right on her head. "Hey!" cried Tink. "What is going on here?" Lucy and Ginger looked around. The kitchen was a disaster. Cakes and cupcakes were everywhere! "Oh no!" said Lucy. "What have you done?" cried Ginger. They rushed over to Tink. Tink was mad. "The Fairy Berry Bake-Off has gone too far," she said. "Don't you understand that you're both great bakers?" Lucy and Ginger blushed. They looked at each other. Could it be true? Could they both be great bakers? Lucy brushed off Ginger's cupcake crumbs off her apron. She tasted her fingers. "Oh my," said Lucy. "This is good." "Really?" asked Ginger. "Yes," said Lucy. Ginger smiled. She took a tiny taste of Lucy's 7-layer cake. "Wow," she said. "So it's yours." "Why don't you bake together?" Tink suggested. And so the Fairy Berry Bake-Off ended in a tasty tie. I hope you have a wonderful day reading this with me. And I'll see you next time at the next video. And please subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.